Before you close your eyes tonight, let me tell you a gentle story of a woman named Elara who lived in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and whispering streams, where the days blended softly into nights like the fading colors of a sunset. Elara was much like you, dear listener, a soul who found the hush of evening both a comfort and a challenge, her mind often wandering through thoughts that kept sleep at bay, yet she yearned for the embrace of peaceful dreams. One twilight evening, as the sky painted itself in hues of lavender and rose, Elara stepped out from her cozy cottage, her bare feet touching the cool grass that sparkled with the first dewdrops of night. The air was filled with the subtle scent of blooming jasmine, carried on a breeze that seemed to sigh with contentment, inviting her to follow a path she had never noticed before, a winding trail lined with fireflies that danced like tiny stars fallen to earth. As she walked, the world around her grew softer, the edges of reality blurring into a realm where magic lingered just beyond the veil of the ordinary, a place where time moved like honey, slow and sweet, allowing worries to dissolve into nothingness. Elara's steps led her deeper into the woods, where ancient trees stood as gentle guardians, their leaves rustling in a lullaby that matched the rhythm of her breathing, each inhale drawing in the calm of the forest, each exhale releasing the day's lingering echoes. She felt a warmth in her chest, a quiet assurance that here, in this hidden sanctuary, she was safe, wrapped in the arms of nature's quiet wisdom. The path opened to a meadow bathed in moonlight, where flowers bloomed in colors that shifted like dreams, petals glowing faintly with an inner light that pulsed softly, as if breathing in unison with her. In the center stood a great willow tree, its branches draping like a curtain of silk, and beneath it a small pond reflected the stars above, its surface smooth as glass, inviting her to sit and let her thoughts drift away on the gentle ripples that formed without cause. As Elara settled on the mossy bank, the air grew even warmer, infused with the aroma of wild herbs and distant rain, a scent that wrapped around her like a beloved blanket, coaxing her muscles to relax, her shoulders to soften. She noticed small creatures emerging from the shadows, not with haste but with a graceful slowness, fireflies hovering near, their lights dimming and brightening in a hypnotic pattern, and a family of rabbits with fur as soft as clouds, their eyes reflecting a knowing peace. One rabbit approached, its nose twitching curiously, and Elara extended her hand, feeling the velvety touch that brought a smile to her lips, a reminder that in this place, connections formed without words, built on trust and serenity. The willow's branches swayed ever so slightly, releasing a cascade of leaves that floated down like feathers, each one carrying a whisper of forgotten lullabies, songs from ages past that spoke of rest and renewal. Elara closed her eyes for a moment, allowing the sounds to envelop her, the distant hoot of an owl, the murmur of the stream feeding the pond, the faint rustle of leaves, all blending into a symphony designed for slumber. She felt her heart beat slow, matching the pace of the world around her, where nothing rushed, nothing demanded, only invited her to be present in the gentle now. As the night deepened, Elara discovered a soft glow emanating from the pond's depths, a light that wasn't harsh but inviting, like the first rays of dawn yet born from the heart of evening. Dipping her fingers into the water, she felt a tingle of magic, a subtle energy that flowed through her, easing the knots in her mind, smoothing the edges of her thoughts until they became as fluid as the water itself. Images formed in the ripples, visions of tranquil seas, endless fields of lavender, and cozy hearths flickering with warm firelight, each one a promise of deeper peace awaiting her. The meadow seemed to breathe with her, the grass beneath her rising and falling subtly, cradling her form as if the earth itself were a living bed, soft and supportive. Elara lay back, her head pillowed on a cluster of wildflowers, their petals brushing her cheeks like the lightest kiss, and she let out a sigh that carried away the last remnants of wakefulness. Yet the story was only beginning, for in this enchanted meadow paths led to even more wondrous places, where dreams intertwined with reality in the most tender ways. She noticed a faint trail of glowing mushrooms leading from the pond's edge, their caps shimmering with a pearlescent hue, beckoning her to explore further when she was ready, promising discoveries that would unfold like the petals of a night-blooming flower. For now, though, she rested, allowing the meadow's magic to seep into her bones, preparing her for the journey ahead, a path of gentle wonders that would guide her towards the deepest sleep. As Elara lingered by the pond, the glowing mushrooms caught her eye once more, their light pulsing softly like the heartbeat of the earth, inviting her to follow without urgency, simply a gentle pull toward what lay beyond. She rose slowly, her body feeling lighter, as if the meadow had lifted some invisible weight from her shoulders, and she stepped onto the path they illuminated, each mushroom blooming brighter as her foot neared, then dimming behind her like a trail of fading stars. The air grew thicker with the scent of moss and earth, a comforting aroma that reminded her of childhood hideaways, places where time stood still and worries were left at the door. The forest enveloped her now, trees arching overhead in a canopy that filtered the moonlight into silver threads, weaving a tapestry of light and shadow that danced lazily across the ground. Deeper into the woods, the path widened into a glade where fireflies gathered in swirling patterns, their glow creating shapes that resembled ancient runes, symbols of peace and protection that hovered in the air before dissolving into sparkles. Elara felt a warmth spread through her, a sense of belonging that wrapped around her heart, making her feel as though she had always known this place, a hidden corner of the world meant just for her. Small birds with feathers like twilight perched on low branches, their songs soft trills that harmonized with the rustle of leaves, a melody that slowed her thoughts, allowing them to settle like leaves on a still pond. She came upon a clearing where an ancient oak stood sentinel, its trunk wide and welcoming, etched with patterns that seemed to tell stories of long-ago travelers who had found solace here. Leaning against it, Elara felt the tree's quiet strength, a vibration of life that pulsed gently through her palms, sharing secrets of endurance and calm, reminding her that roots run deep and storms pass. From the oak's branches hung vines laden with luminous fruits, glowing softly in shades of amber and rose, and as she plucked one, it melted in her hand like warm honey, releasing a flavor of sweet serenity that filled her with a profound peace. The glade was alive with subtle magic, flowers that opened only at night, releasing petals that floated upward, carrying whispers of encouragement, words like rest and release that echoed faintly in her mind. A gentle deer approached, its eyes reflecting the moonlight, and it nuzzled her hand, a touch that conveyed understanding, as if it knew the nights she had spent gazing at ceilings and offered silent companionship in this tranquil haven. Elara sat at the base of the oak, the ground cushioned with fallen leaves that crinkled softly under her, and she watched as the fireflies formed a halo above, their light dimming her eyelids, inviting her to drift. Yet the path continued, winding toward a distant glow that promised more, a soft light that hinted at a river of dreams waiting to carry her further. She felt no rush, only a contented curiosity, knowing that each step deepened the calm within her, layering piece upon piece like blankets on a winter bed. The air hummed with a low, soothing vibration, perhaps the song of the earth itself, lulling her senses into a state of gentle awareness, where the boundary between waking and dreaming blurred beautifully. As she moved on, the forest parted to reveal a babbling brook, its waters crystal clear and infused with specks of starlight, flowing in lazy curves that mirrored the ease she felt. Dipping her toes in, Elara experienced a coolness that traveled up her legs, easing any lingering tension, turning her limbs heavy with relaxation. Fish with scales like opals swam leisurely, their movements hypnotic, drawing her gaze and slowing her breath to match their unhurried pace. The brook led to a waterfall, not roaring but trickling like rain on a window pane, cascading into a pool where lily pads floated serenely, each one a platform for dewdrops that sparkled like jewels. Elara waded in, the water embracing her like a warm bath, and she floated there, staring at the stars peeking through the canopy, feeling utterly safe, utterly at peace. The magic here was soft, mending the frayed edges of her spirit, preparing her for the wonders yet to come, a journey that unfolded one tranquil moment at a time. From the pool beneath the waterfall, Elara emerged refreshed, her skin tingling with the residue of the water's gentle magic, which seemed to have washed away the last traces of restlessness, leaving her mind as clear as the brook's flow. The path now meandered alongside the stream, bordered by ferns that unfurled like welcoming hands, their fronds brushing against her legs with the lightest touch, a caress that spoke of nature's tender care. The night air was perfumed with the subtle sweetness of night-blooming jasmine, vines climbing the trees and releasing their fragrance in waves that matched the rhythm of her slowing heartbeat, each breath drawing in calm, exhaling any remnant of the day's haste. As she walked, the forest revealed hidden alcoves, small nooks where moss-covered stones formed natural seats, inviting her to pause and absorb the serenity around her. In one such spot, she found a cluster of glowing crystals embedded in the earth, their facets emitting a soft, pulsating light in hues of lavender and pearl, and as she touched one, a warmth spread through her fingers, filling her with memories of cozy evenings by the fire, evoking a sense of home that transcended place. Butterflies with wings like stained glass fluttered nearby, their flight silent and graceful, landing occasionally on her shoulder as if to share a secret of effortless joy. The stream widened into a lazy river, its banks lined with willow trees whose branches dipped into the water, creating arches that shimmered with reflected moonlight. Elara followed the curve, her feet sinking into the soft sand along the shore, each step a gentle massage that grounded her further into peace. Small fish leapt occasionally, their splashes mere whispers, and otters played in the shallows, their movements playful yet subdued, embodying a harmony that resonated within her soul. she came upon a bridge of vines and wood, woven by some unseen hand, sturdy yet flexible, swaying slightly as she crossed, the motion rocking her like a cradle, lulling her thoughts into quietude. On the other side, a field of wildflowers stretched out, petals closed for the night, but glowing faintly, as if dreaming themselves. Elara lay among them, the flowers parting to form a bed, their stems weaving a blanket of softness around her, and she gazed at the sky where constellations seemed to rearrange into patterns of comfort, stars winking like old friends. The magic of the place whispered promises of deeper rest, the river's murmur a constant companion, guiding her onward with its soothing song. She rose reluctantly, drawn by a distant melody, a harp-like tune carried on the breeze, leading her to a grove where ancient stones stood in a circle, each one humming with a low vibration that matched her breath, amplifying the calm until it filled every corner of her being. Within the circle, fireflies gathered to form ethereal shapes, figures of light that danced slowly, telling stories without words, tales of journeys through realms of dream where worries dissolved like mist in the morning sun. Elara joined the dance in spirit, her body swaying gently, feeling connected to the rhythm of the universe, a pulse of peace that slowed time itself. As the melody faded, the path reappeared, leading toward a hilltop where the first hints of a village glowed, not with lanterns, but with the soft luminescence of enchanted homes, promising community and warmth. Elara felt a gentle anticipation, knowing that each discovery built upon the last, layering her experience with ever-deepening tranquility, a tapestry of rest woven thread by thread. The hill rose gradually, the grass underfoot like velvet, and at its crest she paused, the view unfolding like a painted scroll, the river winding below, the forest embracing all, a landscape of serene beauty that mirrored the peace within her heart. Here she sat, letting the night wrap around her, preparing for the gentle revelations awaiting in the village beyond, where magic and reality blended in the most comforting ways. From the hilltop, Elara descended into the valley where the enchanted village lay, its homes nestled like jewels in a bed of emerald grass, each one glowing with the soft inner light that pulsed warmly, inviting her closer without a word. The path was lined with lantern flowers, blooms that opened to reveal petals like flames, yet cool and flickering gently, casting a golden hue that warmed her skin and soothed her spirit. The air carried the faint aroma of baking bread and herbal teas, scents that evoked memories of loving kitchens and quiet evenings, wrapping her in a cocoon of familiarity and safety. As she entered the village, cobblestone streets wound lazily between cottages made of woven vines and smooth stone, roofs thatched with leaves that shimmered like silk under the moonlight. Gentle folk emerged from doorways, not with fanfare, but with soft smiles, their eyes reflecting a timeless wisdom, beings who moved with the grace of wind through willows, offering nods of welcome that made Elara feel as though she had returned home after a long, gentle wander. One elder, with hair like silver threads, approached, her voice a murmur like the rustle of pages in an old book, sharing tales of the village's magic, where dreams were nurtured like gardens, blooming into realities of peace. Elara was led to a central square, where a fountain bubbled softly, its waters infused with stars that swirled in lazy patterns, and dipping her hand in, she felt a surge of calm that spread through her veins, easing her into a state of profound relaxation. Around the fountain, benches of polished wood invited rest, and she sat, watching as villagers gathered in small groups, their conversations low and melodic, weaving stories that floated in the air like feathers, each one a thread of comfort. A young spirit, perhaps a child of the woods, offered her a cup of nectar from moonflowers, its taste like liquid moonlight, cool and sweet, filling her with a lightness that lifted her worries away, leaving only contentment. The village seemed to breathe as one, the homes expanding and contracting subtly with the night, syncing with her own rhythm, creating a harmony that lulled her senses. Paths from the square led to gardens where herbs grew in abundance, leaves that whispered secrets of healing when brushed, and Elara strolled among them, feeling the earth's energy rise through her feet, grounding her while elevating her spirit. Butterflies of light danced over the blooms, their wings painting trails of color that faded slowly, a visual lullaby that drew her eyelids heavier. In one garden, she found a hammock strung between two ancient trees, swaying gently in the breeze, and she climbed in, the fabric enveloping her like arms of a loved one, rocking her to the edge of dreams. Yet the village held more, a library of whispers, where books floated on air, pages turning themselves to reveal poems of serenity, words that seeped into her mind, planting seeds of rest. As she explored, the elder returned, guiding her to a hearth where a fire burned without smoke, flames dancing in hues of blue and gold, warming without heat, inviting her to gaze into its depths, where visions of tranquil landscapes unfolded. Elara felt time stretch, each moment a gift of peace, building toward a deeper connection with this magical realm. The night deepened, and the village lights dimmed in unison, signaling a collective drift toward slumber. But Elara sensed a path leading outward, toward a lake of mirrors where reflections held truths of the soul, promising further gentle discoveries. She lingered by the hearth a while longer, absorbing the warmth, readying herself for the next layer of this soothing journey, where every step deepened the embrace of calm. Leaving the village behind, Elara followed the path to the lake of mirrors, its surface a vast expanse of stillness under the starlit sky, reflecting the heavens so perfectly that it seemed as if she walked toward an inverted world of endless night. The shore was lined with smooth pebbles that glowed faintly, each one humming a low note when stepped upon, creating a symphony of serenity that matched the lapping of gentle waves, waves so subtle they were more breath than motion. The air here was crisp yet warm, carrying the scent of fresh water and distant blossoms, a blend that cleared her mind, allowing thoughts to float away like leaves on the current. As she approached the water's edge, her reflection gazed back not as a mere image, but as a softer version of herself, eyes filled with the peace she sought, inviting her to wade in and merge with this tranquil self. The lake's water was like silk against her skin, warm and enveloping, buoying her effortlessly as she floated, staring upward where stars seemed to descend, twinkling closer as if to whisper assurances of rest. Fish with luminous fins swam below, their paths tracing patterns of light that hypnotized, drawing her deeper into relaxation, her body surrendering to the weightless hold. Islands dotted the lake, small havens of soft grass and blooming reeds, and Elara swam leisurely to one, the water parting without resistance, each stroke a meditation in motion. On the island, a circle of stones awaited, each engraved with symbols of dreams, and sitting among them, she felt a gentle pull, visions arising in her mind of childhood joys and future calms, weaving a narrative of lifelong peace. Birds with plumage like midnight skies circled overhead, their calls soft echoes that blended with the lake's murmur, creating a chorus that slowed her pulse, aligning it with the rhythm of the water. She lay back on the grass, the blades cushioning her like down, and watched clouds drift lazily across the moon, shades forming into comforting figures that smiled down upon her. The magic of the lake revealed itself further as bubbles rose from the depths, each one carrying a faint melody, songs of ancient waters that spoke of renewal, washing over her in waves of sound that eased her into a state of profound stillness. Elara closed her eyes, feeling the island rock gently, as if the lake itself cradled her, promising safety in its vast embrace. Yet beyond the lake, a forest of whispers called, trees with leaves that rustled stories of forgotten realms, drawing her onward with the promise of even deeper magic. She arose, refreshed, the water dripping from her in sparkling trails that evaporated into mist, leaving her dry and warm, ready for the path ahead. The journey across the lake continued on a bridge of light, formed by moonbeams solidifying under her feet, swaying softly like a swing, each step a gentle bounce that lightened her heart. On the far shore, fireflies greeted her, guiding her into the whispering forest, where every leaf held a secret shared only in the softest tones. As she entered, the trees bowed slightly, branches forming arches of welcome, and the ground was carpeted with petals that cushioned her steps, releasing fragrances of lavender and chamomile, herbs of sleep that perfumed the air. Elara felt the forest's embrace, a living entity of calm, preparing her for the revelations within, a progression of peace that unfolded petal by petal. In the whispering forest, Elara wandered among trees whose bark shimmered like polished silver, leaves fluttering in a breeze that carried hushed conversations, words of comfort that blended into the background like a distant lullaby. The path was illuminated by phosphorescent vines that climbed the trunks, glowing in soft pulses that matched her breathing, each inhale brightening the light, each exhale dimming it gently, creating a rhythm that deepened her tranquility. The air was rich with the earthy scent of rain-kissed soil and blooming fungi, and grounding aroma that anchored her while allowing her spirit to soar in peaceful reverie. Small creatures of the forest appeared, foxes with fur like autumn leaves, their eyes glowing with inner light, approaching with curiosity but no haste, nuzzling her hand in gestures of friendship that warmed her heart. She knelt to stroke one, feeling the softness that reminded her of cherished blankets, a touch that evoked safety and love, easing her into a smile of pure contentment. The foxes led her to a clearing where a great tree stood, its branches forming a natural pavilion hung with silken webs that sparkled like dew-covered threads, catching moonlight in prisms of color. Beneath the tree, a bed of moss invited her to rest, thick and plush, molding to her form as she lay down, the forest's whispers growing softer, wrapping her in layers of sound that muffled the world beyond. Visions danced in her mind, prompted by the tree's gentle energy, scenes of serene meadows and quiet shores, each one a step deeper into relaxation, her muscles loosening, her thoughts drifting like clouds on a calm day. As she rose, the path continued to a stream of light, where water flowed upward in lazy spirals, defying gravity with soft magic, droplets hanging in the air like jewels, reflecting rainbows that soothed her gaze. Dipping her fingers in, Elara felt a tingle of joy, the waters singing a melody that resonated in her soul, lifting any lingering shadows, replacing them with light. Further along, the forest opened to a grove of singing flowers, petals vibrating with harmonious tones, a chorus that rose and fell like ocean waves, lulling her senses into harmony. She sat among them, the ground warm and vibrating subtly, syncing with her heartbeat, slowing it to a peaceful cadence that invited slumber. Yet the whispers hinted at a mountain of clouds ahead, a place where the sky met the earth in gentle union, promising elevated peace. Elara felt prepared, the forest's magic infusing her with strength born of calm, each element building upon the last in a symphony of serenity. Climbing a gentle slope, the trees thinned, revealing the mountain's base, slopes covered in mist that swirled like loving arms, beckoning her upward with promises of panoramic dreams. The air grew lighter, scented with high-altitude blooms, and Elara ascended slowly, each step a meditation, the mist cooling her skin while warming her spirit. At a ledge, she paused, the view unfolding to show the forest below, a tapestry of green and glow, a reminder of the journey's beauty, filling her with gratitude and peace. The path onward led through clouds that parted like curtains, soft and enveloping, guiding her to the summit where wonders awaited in the most tender forms. Upon the mountain of clouds, Elara stepped into a realm where the ground was soft as down, mist forming pathways that floated ethereally, supporting her weight with invisible gentleness, allowing her to walk among the skies. The air was pure and invigorating, yet calming, carrying the faint scent of ozone and wild heather, a blend that cleared her lungs and mind, each breath a renewal of peace. Clouds billowed around her like living sculptures, shaping themselves into forms of serene animals, swans gliding silently, deer leaping in slow motion, their movements a ballet of tranquility that captivated her gaze. She wandered through valleys of vapor where rainbows arched without rain, their colors muted and soothing, bridging gaps between cloud islands with bridges of light. On one island, a pavilion of crystal stood, walls translucent and humming with a low resonance, inviting her inside, where cushions of condensed mist awaited, molding to her body as she sat, enveloping her in cool comfort that eased every ache. Visions appeared on the crystal walls, projections of distant lands of calm, endless oceans at dusk, forests in autumn glow, each scene a meditation, drawing her deeper into relaxation, her eyelids growing heavy with contentment. Gentle winds whispered through, carrying petals from unseen flowers, brushing her skin like feathers, a touch that spoke of universal care. Ascending higher, the path led to a peak where stars seemed within reach, twinkling closer, their light warm rather than cold, bathing her in a glow that filled her with wonder and peace. Here, ethereal beings of light hovered, forms like angels of mist, offering silent companionship, their presence a balm that soothed her soul, reminding her of inner strength. She lay on a bed of clouds, the surface yielding yet supportive, rocking her gently as if in the arms of the sky, the stars above singing a celestial lullaby that slowed her thoughts to a whisper. Yet the mountain held a gateway, a portal of swirling mist leading to a valley of eternal spring, promising blooms of perpetual calm. Elara descended through layers of cloud, each one lighter than the last, the mist parting to reveal the valley below, fields of flowers that bloomed year-round, colors soft and harmonious, a landscape designed for rest. The air warmed gradually, scented with perpetual spring, and she stepped into the valley, grass springing underfoot like a living carpet. In the heart, a spring bubbled, waters infused with floral essence, and drinking from it, Elara felt a surge of vitality born of serenity, refreshing her without stimulation. Birds with songs like harps nested nearby, their melodies weaving into the spring's gurgle, creating a soundscape of pure bliss. The valley's magic unfolded in waves, flowers releasing pollen that sparkled like fairy dust, settling on her skin and inducing a gentle drowsiness, preparing her for the deeper realms ahead, a progression of peace that felt infinite and loving. In the valley of eternal spring, Elara roamed fields where flowers bloomed in eternal harmony, petals unfolding slowly like waking dreams, releasing fragrances of rose and lily that danced on the breeze, enveloping her in a cloud of soothing scents. The ground was a mosaic of soft turf and wild blooms, each step releasing a faint aroma that grounded her while elevating her spirit, a balance that fostered deep inner calm. Butterflies with wings of iridescent pastels fluttered in lazy loops, landing on blooms and her alike, their touch a whisper of joy that lightened her heart. A grove of fruit trees stood at the valley's center, branches heavy with orbs that glowed softly, fruits that tasted of sunshine and serenity, melting on her tongue and filling her with warmth. Sitting beneath one, Elara felt the tree's shade cool yet comforting, leaves rustling in a rhythm that matched her breath, lulling her into contemplation of the beauty around her. Paths wound through the fields to hidden glens where brooks sang softly, waters clear and inviting, and Elara bathed in one, the current massaging her gently, washing away any final traces of worldly care. Fish nibbled playfully at her toes, their movements tickling without startling, adding a layer of delight to the peace. In another glen, a circle of standing flowers hummed, vibrations creating a field of energy that resonated with her, easing her mind into blank serenity, thoughts dissolving like sugar in tea. She lay within, the flowers bending to form a canopy, shielding her from all but the gentlest light, inviting drift. Yet the valley led to a canyon of echoes, where soft sounds reverberated in harmonious waves, promising amplified calm. Elara followed, the transition smooth, flowers stars giving way to stone walls veined with glowing quartz, the air echoing with distant murmurs of peace. In the canyon, winds carried echoes of laughter and song from unseen sources, blending into a chorus that soothed, walls reflecting light in patterns that hypnotized. She walked the floor, sand soft underfoot, each echo a reminder of shared tranquility. At the canyon's end, a waterfall of light cascaded, not water but luminous threads, passing through her and filling her with radiant calm. Emerging, she found a plain of stars, ground dotted with celestial blooms, preparing her for the final layers of this magical odyssey. The plain stretched endlessly, yet felt intimate, stars above mirrored below, creating an illusion of walking among them, a sensation of infinite peace that wrapped her soul. On the plain of stars, Elara tread upon ground that sparkled like a night sky inverted, each grain of sand a tiny light, glowing softly under her feet and creating trails of luminescence that faded slowly behind her, a reminder of paths traveled in peace. The air was still yet alive, carrying the faint chime of distant bells, sounds that resonated deep within, aligning her spirit with the cosmos, each breath syncing with the subtle pulse of the universe. Stars bloomed from the ground like flowers, petals unfurling to reveal cores of pure light, releasing a warmth that seeped into our bones, melting away any residual tension. She wandered to a cluster of these star flowers, sitting among them as their light bathed her in hues of silver and gold, visions arising of interconnected worlds, all bound by threads of calm, evoking a sense of unity and belonging. Gentle winds stirred, carrying petals that danced in spirals, brushing her skin like loving whispers, each touch an affirmation of safety. Further across the plain, a mound of light rose, a hill where stars converged, and climbing it, Elara felt elevated, the view unfolding to show the entire journey below: meadow, forest, village, lake, mountain, valley, canyon, all woven into a tapestry of serenity. At the summit, a fountain of stardust bubbled, sprinkling particles that tingled on her skin, inducing a profound drowsiness, her body heavy with contentment. Lying there, the plain cradled her, ground molding to her form, stars overhead seeming to descend, wrapping her in their glow, a blanket of celestial peace. Yet the path hinted at a return, a gentle loop back to the beginning, where closure awaited in the most loving form. Descending, Elara followed a trail of falling stars, each one landing softly, guiding her toward a portal of light, the air growing familiar with a sense of the original meadow, promising resolution. The plain faded behind, leaving her enriched, peace layered upon peace. Approaching the portal, memories flooded gently, each discovery a gift, building to this moment of wholeness. Stepping through, she found herself nearing the willow by the pond, the cycle completing in harmony. The magic lingered, ensuring the peace would carry into her dreams an eternal embrace of calm. Back in the enchanted meadow where it all began, Elara stood by the willow tree, its branches swaying in welcome, the pond reflecting the journey stars in its depths, a mirror of the peace she now carried within. The air was the same jasmine-scented breeze, yet richer, infused with the essences of all the realms she had traversed, wrapping her in a final layer of comfort. The fireflies returned, dancing in patterns that recounted her adventures, lights dimming and brightening in a farewell symphony that slowed her to utter stillness. She sat once more on the mossy bank, the ground embracing her like an old friend, and closed her eyes, feeling the cumulative magic settle, each experience a petal in a flower of serenity blooming in her heart. The rabbits nuzzled close, their warmth a tangible reminder of companionship, and the owl hooted softly from afar, a benediction of rest. As the night deepened, the meadow's glow softened, preparing for dawn. But in this realm, time allowed for endless repose. Elara lay back, the stars above whispering goodnight, her body sinking into the earth, mind drifting into dreams where the journey continued eternally in peace. The magic ensured her return to the village outside would be gentle, carrying the tranquility forever, but for now she rested, the story closing in emotional closure, peace, and profound rest.